Good afternoon. Welcome to the work session for the Hillside and grading for CFH 22-00093 at 3121 Starview. In chambers, we have the developer, whatever, sorry, engineer, as well as city staff. And so this is a time for anyone to ask questions about the grading process, and any other associated applications will be heard before the Planning and Zoning Commission at a later date. So I can go ahead and hand it over to Dave to do a little bit of just a basic outline of the project here, and then we can open up the questions.
So we just have Scott attending right now? Okay. Scott, can you hear us?
Oh, there you go. Can you hear me?
Yep, got you.
All right, good.
Okay, so since our last workshop, the city had me go into the grading plan and do a few mock-ups. So I chose 2 square units, basically 3,000 square feet, and showed that we could get the grading, meet the setbacks, take care of the drainage. It's all shown on that plan. The drainage is basically roof runoff that roof runoff that goes to a spreader on the property, and basically spreads out the storm water and makes sure that the majority of it is still handled on site. So it doesn't go subsurface, but it does spread the water out, and it's typical to those Boulder Heights projects where the city has preempted any opportunity for water to be taken down and put subsurface. The property is roughly still an acre in size. We didn't modify any of the lot lines, so we still have 2 lots that would be generated from the original 1 acre lot. One of them would be 26,000 square feet, and the other 17,000 still conforms to the R1C zone. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of additional. The city and ACHD is requiring curb, gutter, and sidewalk. The city's plan calls for an 8-foot planter strip. So the sidewalk would be separated from the curb and gutter, and we're going to plea to have attached sidewalk because of the amount of distance it'll shove those homes back into the lot. And there's no sidewalk in the Mesa, no sidewalk in Boulder subdivision. There might be a little bit of sidewalk in Boulder, but no sidewalk in Mesa or Starview anywhere. So it's and attached sidewalk is better conforming to the goals of Foothills development. I think that's probably pretty much all I need to say, unless there's a whole bunch of questions. Happy to answer.
Scott, do you have anything you'd like to ask?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess this is just a comment. I think I made it last time too, but I realized because this property is being, or there's a request in to subdivide this property yet again. We just went through this 4 years ago. And now with this having to put in this sidewalk and drainage, it's just odd. I realize that some of this city requirements, but just having that short little sidewalk just looks like it's going to look stupid to me, but whatever. There's probably plenty of those kind of things in the world, but it just looks very odd to me. And then I'm also curious if the water today actually comes over where this sidewalk is and comes down this lot and runs in the ditch. Every time there's a huge overflow, it comes to this side of the road even though the storm sewer currently is on the, what would be the north on this picture, I guess. But the water actually comes over the other side, runs down the ditch, and actually comes across my property. You know, and that's in the big, when we really get a big rain, that's what it does now. I am kind of curious to know how that's going to be handled with this new setup with this. I think that the last time mentioned that there was some storm sewer that was going to be added by this sidewalk, and then it would go to the, I think you said the center of the road. I guess this, the changes coming up for Starview would move the storm sewer to the center of the road. And then hopefully they're going to abandon the one now that goes just on an open ditch that goes through my property and onto the Wise property and out on the road, which is what we have today, is just an open ditch.
So the, to answer the drainage for this subdivision is there's two portions. You put the curb gutter and sidewalk in, now you've channeled all of that roadway runoff, which is really just the frontage runoff to the curb and gutter. And at the low end, just before the driving into South Mill Point Lane, it'll enter a drop inlet. There'll be a new storm drain that goes in the street and yes, connects into the storm drain that is existing in Starview below the Mill Point Lane entry. So that and the improvements to Starview are approved by the city. They're approved by ACHD. And that open ditch that I'm thinking you're talking about is below and to the east of your property.
Yes.
And then flows into Wise property and then under Starview and down. That is pretty much retained as it is.
Oh, wow.
So that's not going down the road in an entire storm drain system. It just gets improved as need be to fit the new curb and gutter. As for the drainage on the lots, there is that requirement to the best of the ability. You retain that on site or retain any additional beyond what was there in its pre-development state. So first of all, we're redirecting the street runoff. That's a reduction. We've got the house footprint. So you've got hard surfaces in the driveways and the roofs. Those are an increase. I think those two will probably offset. I've done some preliminary calculations. I think I gave those to the city, the preliminary calculations, and then design these splitters, which basically follow the contour. They're designed to collect the water, take it to a perforated pipe, and then the water comes out of the perforations, goes through a spreader, and then what doesn't percolate or hold in that rock, there's a detail on the plan there, what doesn't hold in the rock. So minor events, if you just have a drizzle rain, it'll probably hold in there. A lot of that'll evaporate off. Anything that gets higher than the 3/4 of a foot deep recess there would then sheet flow by the contour, not point sourced, but sheet flow off and do its historic runoff. So that's pretty much the design concept for the storm drain. And because the properties slope so much from Starview down, there's no opportunity to collect the water down at Starview and get it back up to the road with a gravity system.
Yeah. Okay, that helps. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Are you guys neighbors? Oh, okay. Both of you? Oh, okay. So he's the only staff or non-staffer. Okay. So Scott, any other comments, questions?
Not really on this drainage thing, like I said last time, of course, my complaint is the idea of changing the zoning for the properties doesn't, I don't agree with that idea. So that's actually the reason I keep attending is more to keep kind of in tuned and looking forward to when the public hearing comes on the zoning. But you did answer my questions as far as the drainage, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet. So the city pretty much set in the pre-application meeting the zone, I think, that best fit the surrounding properties. So across the street on the north side of Starview, those are R1C lots. So this property fronting Starview, they're recommending R1C as well. And we were talking just before we came online here that it's unlikely that anybody would buy either of these pieces of property on speculation just to make them smaller. But the one piece of property, the larger of the two lots, I've been told by the developer that he's going to build on that piece of property and then sell the property closer to Mill Point Lane as a single lot of the 2-lot subdivision.
And Dave and Scott, so we're going to talk about that in the subdivision and the zoning at a later date. I think that the preemptive P&Z date is for next month, and there's going to be site posting and more information to follow.
Yep.
All right, Scott. Well, if you don't have any other questions, we're probably going to go ahead and end this because you're the only one who's attended today. And if you do have any other questions that you think of later, you can reach out to myself, the applicant, or any of the city engineers.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.